What's up guys, Gnosis the God here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Borderlands 2. Now before I get started guys, I just wanted to let you know that my review is going to work a little bit differently. Rather than giving a score out of a 10 at the end of my review, I'm just going to say whether or not I think that you guys should buy this game. Before that, obviously, I'll tell you why or why not. And then I'll tell you guys what type of gamer I think would get the best experience out of Borderlands 2. So let's jump right into it guys and get started. First of all, my likes of the game. First of all, the game was laugh out loud hilarious. It was everything from the descriptions of the guns, the names of the characters, the various Easter eggs in the game, and just the characters themselves that made me laugh. For example, one of the major characters in the story that you guys are going to be dealing with a lot if you get the game would be Handsome Jack. Now, Handsome Jack is the main villain in Borderlands 2, but he is definitely one of my favorite characters. He was hilarious. He's a very different kind of villain, though. But the way he talks it'll make you laugh sometimes, but it kind of overall, the way he treats the other characters in the game will just make you absolutely hate him. But it's the kind of character that you love to hate. It was a really awesome job by 2K to make him the way he is. So he was a huge part of keeping me playing the game, especially after the first playthrough. So basically how this works is that you can play through the game once, play through the whole story of the campaign, and then you can, without losing all your progress, you can play through the story again on a harder difficulty. But it is still the same story, so Handsome Jack kind of kept the story interesting. One of the major parts that kept the story interesting after I've already played through it. Now, like I mentioned earlier, that you're going to be playing through the game multiple times, plus there's DLC and all that fun stuff. But what is really going to keep you drived to play the game? What's going to keep it fun for you? There's one word that would best describe this, guys, and it would be loot. Now, if you guys have had any addiction problems with games like Diablo 3, good luck getting yourself to stop playing Borderlands 2, because Borderlands 2 is loot crazy. There's so much loot to collect in the game. The loot is everything from money to costumes that you can customize your character with, to guns. Guns. There's so many guns in Borderlands 2. There are literally, I'd say, like a gazillion guns in this game. So there's the guns, they have a huge variety. Each gun is very different, and it's special. So, for example, you could have one gun, but that same gun could have different variations of itself. So it could have a different manufacturer, a different attachment on it, like a different scope, different stock, something like that could affect the way you use that gun, and a different elemental type. So basically, it's a different type of gun, but the new guns that you find will not get stale or anything like that. It always feels like it's a new gun when you pick up a new one. So, one of the huge things there. So there's really something just so rewarding about finding a new gun. So picking it up, whether it be from a loot drop from a boss or a loot drop from like a treasure chest or something like that. But there's something so rewarding, it feels so good when you get that gun, you compare it to your current arsenal of guns and the weapons you currently have, and then testing that guns out on your enemies, my personal favorite part. Now, I mentioned boss fights as being a loot source for you guys and how you guys could get these guns, character customization pieces, grenade mods, etc., etc. So there are a ton of boss fights, because that's one of the main feeders of the best loot in Borderlands 2. But the boss fights were actually very challenging. Most of them were very, very challenging. Each one is different and unique. Plus the bosses have their own kind of character to them, so they'll be making funny commentary when you're fighting them, and it's just an awesome experience. But there's a huge drive to beat that boss, because in the middle of beating it, when you're right about to beat it, you know that there's going to be a slight chance that a gun perfect for the way that you play your playstyle could pop out of that dead boss. Now, some of the best guns, the perfect guns in the game, are called legendaries. Legendaries are the rarest but best guns in Borderlands 2. But like I said, there's a very low chance that they drop, but when you're fighting that boss, a lot of times it leads you to farming that boss, fighting that boss multiple times, just so you could get that legendary that you think will be perfect for your playstyle, something fun to experiment with, and once you get that legendary, it's kind of like you can't stop. So much fun, guys. It's such a drive to beat those bosses. Now, there is multiplayer in Borderlands 2. It's 4-player co-op, similar to the first Borderlands. So basically, if you got your other friends with you, you can explore Pandora, which is the world that Borderlands 2 takes place in, defeat enemies together, and help each other progress through the game, gain experience, guns, get loot together, and then overall you could trade that loot, which is probably one of the best things to do with friends other than one of the most beneficial things to do with friends other than gaining experience with each other, because trading guns, your friend might have the gun that perfectly suits your playstyle, but that he or she does not want. You might have a gun, a weapon, or an item that they want. You can trade it out, and it works perfectly usually. There's also a lot of there's some character customization. So at the very beginning, you'll choose your class, customize the way they look a little bit, name them, and all that fun stuff. Then later, the customization aspect really starts to kick in later in the game when you start leveling up and gaining points, skill points that you can use to acquire new skills for your character. But there are different paths that you can go on down. So there's like more of a support path. There's more of like an assault path, like ranged, melee, different paths that best you can go down. The one obviously playstyle, best suiting your playstyle. That's highlight all throughout Borderlands 2. So it was fun. It's a fun experience, great experience to attempt to develop the best loadout that would be most effective against the enemies that you're fighting with, or the bosses that you're fighting with, that you're struggling with. So always fun, a lot of strategy in there, guys. So yeah, huge part of the game. There's so much content in Borderlands 2. It's not the kind of game that that gets old very quickly. It will last forever. I played through the game 6 times because I did 3 times with my main character that you guys are watching right now. Plus there's DLC. I did all of that stuff. I made multiple characters, so lots and lots of fun, guys. It did not get old, okay? So the story is long enough to keep you involved in the game. The great characters keep you there. Boss fights and the loot obviously is going to drive you. But it does introduce you, the main campaign will introduce you to various side missions that will lead to more experience for your character, new loot to pick up, and some other challenging boss fights that you wouldn't be able to access in the main campaign. Now we're going to go over my dislikes, guys. Unfortunately, there were some things that I did dislike about Borderlands 2. First thing was the art style. Now the art style it's kind of a love-hate thing, because at the beginning I didn't like that aspect of it. That art style was not appealing to me. But as I played through it more, you kind of stop thinking about it, and doesn't really take away from the overall experience of the game. Customization. I wish there was more customization, especially as far as apparel goes, especially like in the beginning, the style of your character, like the way they look. I wish you could change the way that they look much more at the beginning. They don't give you that many options at the beginning, and I wish you could kind of make that character your own character. Just my opinion, but I did love the abilities and loadouts that each character had. The loadout part was good, like the different skills and stuff, that was good, but I think more of the way they look could do better. Multiplayer loot, guys, most of the time you're probably going to want to be playing with your friends or someone that you can trust, because you can end up in games with players that you don't know, and those players can actually take your loot. There's not like, if you kill a boss, each player does not get the equal amount of loot. Literally, the guy closest to the boss, when it dies, he could just run up and take everything, and no one else would get anything, and you wouldn't be able to do anything about it. So there's that loot hogging that can go on. Just play this multiplayer with someone that you trust. Just my opinion there. So overall, guys, definitely buy this game. This was a great experience for me. I bought the original game, played through it twice, and I enjoyed it so much that I sold that original copy and bought the Game of the Year edition, which included all of the DLC, and that kept me playing for several more hours, kept me entertained for much longer. Actually, the gameplay you're seeing here is DLC content. My advice, if you don't have Borderlands 2, go and get it. If you are into loot, epic boss fights, stuff like that, don't make my mistake. Just go ahead and get the Game of the Year edition. I would suggest doing that. The gamer that I think would get the best experience out of this would probably be, you like first-person shooters and loot. I love both of those aspects. Boss fights, kind of RPG stuff. It's an RPG shooter. RPGs and shooters, guys, you will love this game. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my review. This is definitely one of my favorite games of all time, I'm not gonna lie. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time, and subscribe for more reviews. Peace out.